She was one of the first January Sixers to be charged. She was indicted. 7 charges, including destruction of government property and engaging in physical violence. Although she was never formally sentenced, after 4 years of legal maneuvering and had to wear an ankle bracelet for 4 years. Please welcome to the program Gina Bisignano. Gina, thank you for coming on.
Hey, Larry, thank you so much for having me. I want to set the record straight here. I went to go pay my bail. I was given a bail by a Los Angeles judge. And as I was walking up to pay my bail, I was kidnapped by the U.S. Marshals. And they said to me, surprise, they revoked your bail. And that's what you do when you commit treason. They kidnapped me. I was in solitary confinement for a month, unable to contact anybody. And after a month, my brothers and sisters paid for a bigwig attorney in Philadelphia, Chuck Peruto, and we thought, hey, he's going to get her out of it. Not once did he contact me. And in the middle of the night in the Los Angeles Detention Center, they took me out and they put me in a bus and another bus and put me on a plane, took me to Texas. After Texas, they took me to Oklahoma, and I was stuck there for another month. So I was kidnapped for 2 months, unable to contact anybody in my family, unable to choose my own attorney, all because they said I was a danger to society. And I lost everything. When I was gone, my son had no idea where I was. So they cleaned out my salon. They put the stuff in my house. Half the stuff was left by my garbage, and it was taken by the city. So I just want to set the record straight that I did stand up for America, and we went there peacefully, patriotically. We listened to our president to peacefully take a walk over to the Capitol to let our voices be heard. But nobody expected a riot, Larry, and nobody expected to witness people die that day.
So Gina, let's back up. So you go to the Capitol on January 6th because you wanted to participate in what was called Stop the Steal. And then what happened to you? What did you do there, and what happened?
Thank you for asking, because I'd love to set this record straight. So, we watched our president. When I watched the president, Larry, I felt such a feeling of defeat. Like when he said, we hope Mike Pence does the right thing. Today we're going to peacefully and patriotically take a walk over to the Capitol. So I said to myself, and as I was walking, Larry, I saw pictures of the pro-life pictures, which was very compelling to me, because I noticed that the sanctity of human life, there was no respect. I saw the photos of the babies and the baby parts, and I'm like, Lord, I'm taking a walk. I know I may get into some trouble, but I'm going to stand up for my country and for the stolen election, against the stolen election. So I proceeded to walk up to the Capitol, and there was a lot of patriotism going on, a lot of vigor. And I said to myself, I'm only going to walk as far as I can, and when they tell me to turn around, I'm going to turn around. So number one, there was no barriers there. There was nobody telling us to turn around. I proceeded to walk up the steps, run up the steps. I passed by police officers. We went up into the tunnel, and we started to say, USA, stop the steal. So as soon as we said that, the doors opened, and the police officers started to spray us. They started to shoot us with rubber bullets. And we said, hey, we don't want it. We don't want any violence. We just want people to hear our voices. We're here to stop the steal. We're on your side. We back the blue. And then they just kept shooting at us, spraying us with bear spray. I got picked up and put over to the side of the wall, and I documented everything on my phone. And when the cops just kept aggressively coming after us, a police officer hit me with a baton. I fell into the crowd. I lost my breath. I remember people saying, she can't breathe, she can't breathe. And underneath me, I could see that they were trying to resuscitate. It was Roseanne Boyland. And I remember just lifting up in the air and then working my way over to the right side, the right side of the tunnel. and not being able to breathe, not being able to see.
Gina, we're going to take a break. Hold it right there. We're going to pick up the story from there. We want to find out how this led to your ultimately being arrested or being kidnapped, as you put it. Gina Bisignano, a January 6er, is my guest. Do not leave town. Gina, pick it up from where you left off, and tell me about this charge of destroying government property.
First of all, there was no property. I didn't destroy any property. I was by somebody who broke a window.
Right.
I couldn't see. I couldn't breathe. Okay. I was also charged with 1512, which was dropped by the Supreme Court. That's treason, trying to take over the government, which I had no intention of doing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get one thing out, that Roseanne Boylan died that day and Ashley Babbitt,
right.
And nobody went there for violence. But we went there to practice our First Amendment rights, to stand up and to ask them to take a look at this election that we knew was stolen. So they suffocated us in the tunnel. And Roseanne Boylan died that day. Nobody ever says her name.
Mm-hmm.
And I witnessed that.
Right.
Okay. I worked my way. The crowd worked me over to the side of the window where I stood. And because people broke windows that day, you know what? They acted in defense for their lives. There was a woman, Rachel Powell, that broke a window. She was scared. She has 8 children. She lives in a farm in Pennsylvania. People acted, mob mentality, ways that they would never act. But we were scared for our lives. And I stood by that window, and I couldn't see and I couldn't breathe. And all of a sudden, it went through the crowd that they shot and killed somebody. And that was the second one who died that day, and that was Ashley Babbitt. And I really thought that this was it. I'm going to die. Eventually, I worked my way down to, somebody carried me down to the bottom of the Capitol steps. And there was no Ubers going on that day. There was no phone service. And I walked over to my hotel. And from my hotel, I called InfoWars to come by, and they took down all my footage. And I said to them, there were people in the crowd that were attacking me, attacking other people, dressed as Trump supporters. We were not violent people. The cops got violent with us. And so he took down all my footage. He downloaded onto his phone. And I went home on January 7th that day. And I just remember everybody in the airport being so scared because they're like, oh, they're arresting people. They're stopping them in the airport. And I'm like, I just want to get on my plane. If I get on my plane, I'll feel okay. So I get on my plane. I make it home to L.A. So every day until January 19th, I had threatening phone calls. You're going down. You're going to die. You're a traitor, constant. I was literally looking over my shoulder, sweating bullets. All of a sudden, January 19th, I'm sleeping, and I have about 20 FBI agents breaking down my door, 4 in the morning. I was like, who is this? They're like, the FBI, and I didn't want to answer it. I took my gun out. I put it on my dresser. And they're like, if you don't open it, we're going to break your door down. So they started to break in my door. I opened the door, and I'm like, listen, I didn't do anything. I don't know what's going on. And they're like, well, we have questions. You're being arrested for 1512, trying to take over the election proceeding. All we want you to do is tell the truth, and that's it. The truth will set you free. And I'm like, I will tell the truth. Like, I didn't do anything. Like, I witnessed so much violence that day. I actually tried to call the FBI and let them know, hey, we went there to protest, and they started attacking us. People were breaking windows. They were shooting us. They were shooting us with bear spray, rubber bullets. So I sat in the FBI car for about 2 hours that day, and then they drove me in the paddy wagon over to the jail. And lo and behold, I see Dr. Simone Gold and John Strand next to me. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm not the only one that's being arrested. I know they didn't do anything. So that day, we all saw a Los Angeles judge. And I remember the judge saying to me, I don't like that you're trying to make Miss Bisignano out to be a traitor. And I remember them putting my gun up on the screen as if I took it I never took that gun to Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
So they posted my bail. They gave me bail. It was $250,000. My sister, Marianne Longo, put up her house. And that day I went to sleep. Larry, I couldn't even breathe. I was just in another world. I had a nervous breakdown. So the next day a girl came and picked me up, Narosha. She took me over to the courthouse to pay my bail, which is a $25K check, along with my sister's house. And as I proceeded to walk in, and I remember going through security. They said they put handcuffs on me, and they said, "Surprise, you're getting arrested. Washington revoked your bail for treason." And I had to give this girl all my stuff, my credit cards, my keys, and that was the end of me for 2 months. Nobody knew where I was. People looted my apartment. This girl ended up turning on me, telling the FBI that I wanted to kill Joe Biden because, it was during that time to turn on the January 6ers. I was in jail, and when I was in jail after the 2 months, they had lost me in the airplane. Eventually ended up in Oklahoma, where Judge Nichols said, "Why is Miss Bisignano still detained this whole time?" which was in Politico magazine. I remember meeting that morning, having a hearing with the judge, and having him say, "Miss Bisignano, you said we need strong, angry patriots. We need gas masks. We need weapons for protection. That's a terrible thing." And I couldn't even explain to the judge that, "Your Honor, they killed somebody underneath me. They shot a woman. We were scared, and the people that were there were not going to leave the grounds. So somebody gave me a megaphone and said, 'Tell them we need weapons.'" So I thought, well, if I say we need weapons for protection, they'll understand, I won't get in trouble. So anyway, he was really upset that my attorney that was hired by my family, not by me, said, "Sorry, Your Honor." He never even spoke to me beforehand. He drank the Kool-Aid. In other words, she's nuts. She's going to get help, and she's going to pack up all her stuff and move to Philadelphia. Not once did I speak to this attorney. Not once did I able to stand up for myself or tell my story. They let me out that day. I was left in Oklahoma with no jacket, no phone, no credit card. So a local woman that I found at a gas station, her name was Rachel Trevino, picked me up, took me to her house, fed me. They said, "Ma'am, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you did nothing wrong but stand up for America." And I'm like, "No, I'm so bad. I'm evil." Oh my God. I was so that day I had such a breakdown. I didn't even realize what I did, and I was just out of it.
Gina, we're going to take one more break, and then we're going to come back for a quick segment. And I want you to tell us about the ankle bracelet and where you were when you found out you were pardoned and what happened. So please don't go away. Gina, quickly tell us how you end up with an ankle bracelet. How does that happen?
Okay. So actually, I was very blessed to have Judge Carl Nichols. I'm telling you, if I didn't have him, I would have been in jail because I broke so many rules. I kept getting in trouble. They kept ordering me back into custody, and he didn't think it was necessary. So I ended up having strict in-home monitoring for 4 years. I couldn't leave my house. If I did, I was on Sunday for 4 hours. So I was stuck in my house, unable to work. If I did work, I had to have permission from the court, so I had to let them know 24 hours ahead of time. I can only go from my house to my office and back. So that was 4 years of very strict home monitoring. And I wore my ankle monitor with pride 4 years. And January 20th, I believe, somebody said to me, "When he gets inaugurated, Gina, you're going to be able to cut that ankle monitor off." And I was like, wow, I couldn't even imagine it because I've been, on home arrest for so long. But then January 20th came, and I went down to Florida. I got permission from the courts because my dad was dying. And I flew down to Florida, and it was so hard for me to get through TSA that I ended up not being able to see my dad. He died an hour before I landed. When I landed, went to a friend's house, Captain Gabriel Garcia in Miami, Florida. He, along with me, was on house arrest. And Trump signed that pardon. And there was an attorney with me, and he's like, you can legally take off that monitor now. But I contacted my PO officer, and he said, "No, Gina, we didn't get anything from the courts yet. You can't take it off." So I contacted my attorney. He's like, "Gina, they just put the motion in to drop your case with prejudice, and you're now, let me contact the PO officer." And then the next day, my officer said, "Okay, Gina, you're welcome to take off your monitor." And I cut it off on Channel 5 in Miami.
Wow.
And the first thing I did was I went into the ocean. And I do have part two because I want to tell you guys how the feds tried to brainwash.
We're going to have to do that some other time. Real quickly, though, we only have
Yeah.
about 40 seconds left.
Sure.
I want to know who's going to play you in the movie. More than that, are you filing a lawsuit?
Oh boy, I've got Roger Root and John Gross and Barry Silverman representing me. I'm going to sue them for taking away my civil rights, kidnapping me. I have a book coming out. You can contact Michelle Farrell on Instagram. She's going to tell my story, and Michelle Farrell Management. And I've got a lot more to tell how the government tried to use me as a pawn.
Okay, Gina, we'll have to leave it right there. Michelle Farrell Management on Instagram. Gina Bisignano, thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching these clips from The Larry Elder Show. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss a moment. More thought-provoking discussions are just a click away, so stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.